Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right, well, the Acolyte just got a bunch of new posters. They're like put up as billboards somewhere.
Somewhere.
I kind of like the look of them.
Put up.
I kind of like the motion effect with the lightsaber, the bright color.
I kind of like them.
I'm a sucker for that.
Just the aesthetics of it looks fine, yeah.
Yeah. Let's continue talking about the Acolyte. They were featured in Entertainment Weekly's Summer TV Preview, where they did an interview with Amanda Stenberg when they kind of discussed her training process for the show and how seriously they took it.
Well, we heard they were trying to do like Phantom Menace-esque fights, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, good luck, but...
I like how serious Amanda is taking the training.
Well, she's supposedly a pretty big Star Wars fan. She dressed up like Padme at Celebration and all that, too, so...
Mm-hmm. She said, I was such a pain in the ass for producers when I got there. I'm just really an analytical person, and I have to deep dive into everything and gather as many pieces of information as possible in order to not freak out, especially when it comes to taking on something like Star Wars. I remember saying something along the lines of, well, Hayden Christensen trained for this amount of weeks, and I'm only training for this amount of weeks. And they were like, it's going to be fine. You're going to work with your master, and it's going to be okay.
You're not the chosen one. You don't need as much training.
Well, he was training for, movies, too.
I know.
And things are different back then. She did train under the guidance, of course, of a fight coordinator, and she had this to say about the process. It was so rewarding. I'd never really had a relationship to martial arts before, but my master was very patient with me and just a delight. He guided me firmly, but with a lot of joy. As we continued filming, I got faster and faster at learning sequences, so by the end of the show, oftentimes I was learning sequences on the spot, and then we would film them. It was incredible for me to acquire that ability. Like you said, she is a super fan, and she's really excited about the moral and philosophical questions that a story set in this timeline sets up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. She said, we exist in a period of time before that evil dictatorship takes a hold of the galaxy. So there's space ideology to think, what does the world look like before the Force is being utilized in that evil way? What preempts that kind of societal shift? But let's talk about what somebody else said, because Headland's quotes are always way more interesting.
I was going to say, I think there's more, because that's just like, okay, we'll see, won't we?
We will see. But meanwhile, Leslye Headland is, doing her thing, talking about stuff, and she always says something interesting. She was talking about more of her inspirations, because as we know, she was inspired by everything to make this show.
Except for Star Wars, oddly enough.
No.
It was a joke. Come on.
Well, this time she's kind of referencing the Clone Wars, and I don't mean the Tartakovsky ones. She said, but also the Clone Wars inspired the Acolyte, a lot being inspired by Night Sisters. We don't have any Night Sisters in this show, but being inspired by them, being inspired by Asajj Ventress. My favorite episode is The Wrong Jedi. I definitely took some inspiration from that.
Okay, well, we know supposedly May is going to be accused of doing something bad, like murdering the Jedi and being
something
an acolyte.
She thinks she didn't do, or at least will say she didn't do.
Certainly that is a lot like The Wrong Jedi, where Ahsoka is accused of doing something she did not do.
Not to mention, it looks like she was raised by Mother Anasea.
Yeah, she from the tribe of not
witches?
Night Sisters.
Yes, Night Sister witches.
Yes.
So I can see where those inspirations got. Does she have a single original thought sometimes? I know it's a little harsh coming out of me, but she went on this long thing about how Trinity from The Matrix inspired Carrie Moss's character of Master Indara. Okay? Then she's like, you know what, Jackie? That's X-23 with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I need Daphne Keene, too, because that's X-23. Okay. Then we heard about the Kurosawa inspirations and the Clone Wars inspirations. Where is the original thought?
Well,
shouldn't you bring something new to Star Wars? Is it really something new when you're just grabbing things from everywhere else and shoving them together?
I mean, yes and no. It's hard to escape the things that you love when you're writing or creating.
Yeah, I can see that, okay.
But I know what you're saying. It sounds like she's borrowing so much that it's like, well, do you got any thoughts that are just kind of new and that you want to inject on your own that you came up with?
Yeah.
Or is it all from your D&D game and
Legends and
yeah, which is cool. I mean, you know, like I said, you're going to be influenced by the things you watch and love and enjoy. But yeah, sometimes you gotta bring your own into it too, which, you know, makes me a little nervous to think that she will. But
right, I would like to hear her talk more about her original concepts for things, though, not just everything that inspired her while she was doing this.
Well, I think it's partly because you have to wait until we start to see it, right? You don't want to start saying too much where you're.
Suppose.
Well, no, I mean, I agree with you and disagree at the same time because, I mean, trying to be fair here, of course. You know, I know a lot of people have their takes on this show already, which, hey, that's you. But trying to be fair, like, she's waiting until the show comes out, and then hopefully she'll explain some of her decisions and choices and some of her own ideas. And let's, fingers crossed they are good and make sense for Star Wars.
Right. Well, let's talk of something else Star Wars while we're, you know, on the topic of Star Wars. In our
which
Star
we
Wars
always
news chat.
are. Yeah.
So, in the discussion-y rumor mill that I come across, producer Simon Emanuel is kind of joining the crew for James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi.
That's still a thing, huh?
Yes. And we potentially have the actual title of the movie?
Title or working title?
I don't know. The quote that I found says, James Mangold's Jedi Prime is set thousands and thousands of years before the original trilogy, and I'm really excited to see what happens there. This is a quote from Simon Emanuel, who was supposed to be working on this, producing this. So either the working title is now Jedi Prime, or it's called Jedi Prime. Which,
is he related to Optimus
in
any way, shape, or form?
Maybe Logan Paul is now sponsoring Star Wars.
Oh, God. His logo can just be everywhere. Like
the green milk comes out of
yeah,
the
it's
green
like
scientist
WWE.
comes out of a Prime bottle.
Yeah, WWE now has, like, at their pay-per-views has a
Prime
logo.
Bottle.
So Star Wars is just going to have, like, a
the
Prime
hydration
logo.
Station.
Yep, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't ask me how I know that.
Wouldn't be that you ever watch wrestling.
No, I'm not cool.
No, you're not.
So, yeah. Could this be called Prime Jedi? And is that even a good name? I don't know if I like that name.
Unfortunately, that seems to tie back to The Last Jedi, doesn't it? Where we saw the little mosaic, I guess, of the Jedi that was like half dark and half light. And
Well, it's supposed to be like the first Force user learning about the Force and stuff, so I don't know.
So I thought it was supposed to be like the Jedi Order, not necessarily like the first Force user.
That's the Jedi Prime to you, sir.
Well, whatever. I don't know that they are like one and the same. We'll have to see. I mean, I don't know. This is one of those things where I don't know this is a story that I really necessarily want.
It's hard. It's really hard, honestly.
We did get it in the EU, and I wasn't a huge fan of it there in Dawn of the Jedi. It is what it is. So I'm not eager for a similar interpretation or one that kind of goes with the whole like darkness and light need to be balanced, and the first Jedi figured that out, and
it's all downhill from there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in theory, you could argue like, okay, so the first person who discovers the Force might not exactly like get it right.
That's fact, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they shouldn't get it right.
The first person who discovers the Force may not be a good person.
This is true.
And they might twist it and use it for the dark and not understand exactly what they're doing immediately.
Sure, but again, this is supposed to be like the first Jedi or the formation of the Jedi Order, I thought. So it's very, curious to see what they do with it, and hope, again, kind of like with the Acolyte, that somehow it's a good idea. Somehow everything we hear and learn is not indicative of the end result necessarily.
Oh boy.
What?
What indeed?
All right, well, I think that is going to be all we have for you this time. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars. And so, until next time, thanks for watching.